All right, it is 34 minutes past 9 p.m. You can say 26 minutes to 10. And in this time that we have before the end of the bulletin, we are joined on set by an amazing lady, Cecilia Karanja, who is a founder of Fertility Kenya, which is a foundation and an NGO that is doing great works in making sure that people combat infertility and the effects thereof. So get ready for this conversation. Once again, grab your pen, grab your paper. You need to write. We need to remember what she says tonight because it is important information in our society today. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, so begin by looking at that camera and telling us about yourself. Kidogo tu.
Okay. My name is Cecilia Karanja, founder of Fertility Kenya. Fertility Kenya deals with persons struggling with infertility. It was started in 2014, registered as an NGO in 2015, and this far we've come. Yes.
All right. And when I hear fertility or infertility issues, I look at the society. Yeah. All of us come from a society, and there are expectations of people, especially people who are of age and have come together in marriage, and people begin to wait for children. And in our society, specifically in Kenya, we see a lot of pressure coming from different circles, majorly around the family setting. And I want us to begin there. The societal and cultural things that we have around our societies, how are they going? You know, how are they affecting the people who have majorly infertility issues?
Thank you very much for that question, because it's a very important one, because when you're struggling with infertility, people tend not to understand what is happening, because we are in an African setup. African setup is where when you get married, people expect you to get children automatically. So it has been there, and from our forefathers to date, we have not changed that culture. So you find that when people get married, the next thing, in fact, on your wedding day, you're told that next time you're coming, we want to find you with the children. Now we are coming to eat njahe, we are coming to celebrate with your babies. So they don't want to meet you in between when you don't have a child. So what happens is when you go home, you go with that pressure of wanting to get that child. So when you go with that pressure of now the society, they want to come to you to hold that baby, then the next thing is that when the baby doesn't come, the pressure starts from that family, from your husband, because both of you are not getting the kids, because of course you want to have those kids. Then the next pressure is that your parents want you to have the kids. So the immediate family members, your parents, your sisters, your friends, they come in when it takes like an year. When you're not getting a child, they get in, and now they want to get concerned why you're not getting that child. And that is where now you find that people start getting into pressure. Everyone, the friends, you yourself who is struggling with infertility, the society, the stigma starts popping in, because now people start thinking that people got married and they have a problem. And especially for women, they bear that brand of infertility because you are the one who carry that baby. So you find that when you don't get that baby, they feel like you are the one who has a problem. And right now, as we're talking, we are almost like 50-50. The infertility is caused by both women and men. So they fail to look at the men because they are not the ones carrying the baby. So we carry the brand because we are the one who are carrying the baby, and the society look at us as outcasts, and they feel that we don't need to be in that marriage. And that is when now your mother-in-law, your sister-in-law, everyone gets in to put pressure on the husband, and they want you out of that marriage. Yes.
Or for you to make an addition as a man into the family,
Oh,
in the
yeah,
name
or
of
to
a
get an
second
addition.
wife.
Yes.
And as I did my research on your foundation, which is an amazing job, I must say, when I look at the statistics, 6,000 women have been treated in terms of infertility issues. 5,000 men have been treated. And as you almost said, we are almost at par.
50-50.
We're almost at par. Yet we live in a very, I would say, backward society in terms of our mindset, in terms of our infertility issues, where people think it's the woman who has the issue every time a couple does not get to have a child. Do you feel we are making strides as a continent, as a country, as a people? And what areas of awareness do you think we can actually target on to make sure that this, whatever you're saying, is heard to the very corners of our nation and beyond?
Okay. I think as a country, we are really making a lot of strides, because when we started in 2014, there was no one talking about infertility. And when I started talking about my story, because I also struggled with infertility, I stayed for 10 years without conceiving, and I also lost 2 marriages because I could not get pregnant. That time, it was like when you talk about it, everybody were shocked. And they didn't want me to talk about my story, and everyone was like, how do you even talk about that? But with time, as I continued talking about my story, I remember the first time I went on air, my phone crashed, because everybody wanted to talk to me and tell me what they were going through, because they did not have anyone to talk to. Let me tell you, in infertility, the only person you talk to is the doctor. And the doctor doesn't have a lot of time with you. When you go there, you find a queue. So when you get in there, they tell you, hey, you've come, what is the problem? They write down, they do the prescription, or they write for you the test you need to do, and then you go. But the emotional part of it, there was no one to nurture it. And that is what Fertility Kenya brought. People to just come and cry and pour out what they are going through. And we have seen this we have seen Fertility Kenya creating a lot of awareness, and people just coming out freely to talk about what they are going through. And we can say that I don't think right now there is anyone who is not able to talk about what they are going through, unless the people that we have not reached to, because there are so many. But the people that we managed to talk to, and the people we've managed to psychologically talk to and maybe counsel when they're going through infertility, they have been able to even get solution, get this baby, and they become now the ambassadors. They become the ambassadors to go and talk about what they need to do to get these babies. So basically for me, I would say we have made a lot of strides, because we have treatment of infertility in Kenya, because before this, there was no IVF. There was no IVF centers in Kenya, and right now we are talking over 10 IVF centers in Kenya, and very high quality and very successful ones. So I will say that treatment, you don't need to go outside the country to get treated for infertility. And before that time I was struggling with infertility. The only place I knew I could go for IVF center was in South Africa. But right now we are seeing so many centers coming in, and so many people getting treated and getting this baby. You find they get 1, 2, or 3, and even we've gotten a couple that got 4. So basically for me, yes, I would say we've made a lot of milestone in terms of infertility. Also in terms of insurances, trying to cover infertility. We are not yet there, but at least they have started. So I would say yes, we've done a lot of milestone.
All right. Thank you for that. You've mentioned a lot of things, and you saved a lot of time for me, because my director tells me we have very little time on our hands. You've mentioned things like IVF, which are quite expensive.
Yes.
So that leads me to my next area of concern, which is the financial implications that come with some of these procedures. And what the common mwananchi is able to achieve looking at their financial situation. How does the financial implications look like in the first place, and what are the interventions that you have brought on board, seeing that some of these processes can be quite costly?
Okay, I would say fertility treatment is very expensive, and this is a challenge when it comes to treatment of infertility, and that is why you find so many people don't want to come out to talk about their story, or they don't want to come out and get the solution because they already know the financial implication. As you all know, IVF procedure is very expensive. It ranges between 500 to 1 million shillings. So even if the treatment is there, so many people cannot afford to undergo the treatment. But I would say, as an organization, we've been out there trying to create awareness, talking to the HRs of companies. We've been talking to companies to try and cover people who are going through infertility, because that is the only way we can tap into the treatment of infertility, because as you all know that insurances don't like covering fertility. So what we have done is negotiate with the HR to negotiate on behalf of their employee to be covered on IVF through the packages, because at that particular time when they're negotiating, they have the upper hand. So they can tell them, if you want me to give you the contract, you have to put the IVF procedure, because I have my people who are struggling with infertility. If they refuse, they go to another insurance company. And we are seeing out of that, there are so many other companies which are coming up to cover their staff for IVF treatment. We thank God that as a government, we have tried, because NHIF is covering for civil servants. So all civil servants are covered for IVF procedure, though they have a lot of restrictions on that, but we are praying to God that they're going to remove the restrictions. We have Ewen Minet covering for teachers. We have CIC insurance covering for police, and we have seen Kenya Power covering for their staff. And we can say we are improving in terms of coverage of insurance, but we are praying and asking the government, the current government. We are just covering people who are employed. Look at the people who cannot afford. They are the people who are in the rural areas, the people who are in the ghetto, the people who want to get, and they are the ones who get babies for us. So basically, we need to cover everyone in the new insurance cover. We have been praying and talking and demonstrating in the street, asking the government to actually cover these people, because they cannot afford. So if they can do something, of which we have been negotiating, if they can do something, at least they cover for those people who are paying for the insurance, then we thank God that at least the stigma will just disappear, because if I realize that I'm not getting kids, I will just go and do the IVF procedure, and it will be easy for us to just end the stigma, and also the mental health, where people get affected mentally because of lack of children. Yes.
Thank you so much, especially with the pushing the government, especially now that it's got the hustler government, and the people termed as the hustlers need also to get into this particular benefit. And of course, just before I cut you short, you mentioned mental health, and that's where I want us to go even as we wind up this conversation. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of discrimination that comes with this particular condition. And that, of course, affects the mental wellness of the affected persons. What can we do as a society?
Okay.
Maybe you can paint a picture a bit. I think I cut you short as you were doing that. Paint the picture more on how that looks like, and what we can do as a society to make sure that these people don't go into depression and other forms of mental illnesses.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'll start by saying that when I was struggling with infertility, I went through depression, and the depression came about because of the people, the way they were handling me, because everyone wanted me pregnant. Everywhere I went, they were just talking about me. They thought the reason why I was not getting children is because I had aborted before. They thought because I was a bad girl. There are people who come to me because they have been they want to be suicidal. They are suicidal. They want to. The reason why they are suicidal is because they have been put in a situation by their mother-in-law. They are being told that they came to that family just to eat and just feel in the toilet. They are telling the mother-in-law are telling their son to remarry. They are being told that they were bad people. You married somebody who will never get children. And they come to me and they are telling me now, Cecilia, I don't know what I will do. There's somebody here who did an IVF procedure and it failed, and they had taken a loan and they did not succeed. They are suicidal. They send me a message today. They are suicidal because they don't even know where they're gonna get this money. So basically, we need to embrace these people who are struggling with infertility. Let people realize that this is a condition like any other condition, and it is a treatable condition. If you talk badly about me today, and you bring that enmity, and tomorrow you see me pregnant, because God can bless me and maybe insurance cover me and I get pregnant, what will happen? You will not be able to face me because you talked bad about me. So basically what we are trying to say is that embrace that woman, talk to them nicely. Even if me as a person, I always put myself in the same shoes as the mother-in-law. I also want my son to have a child, but I can ask the same question in a friendly manner, or maybe I can call them. We look for a solution. I've seen father-in-laws, I've seen mother-in-laws bring their daughter-in-law to me to just get a solution of infertility. That is the way to go about it. If you see somebody is not getting pregnant, just try and give them my number. Just try and direct them to the doctor. Just try and find a solution for them. That is the only way you can make them comfortable and fit in the society. Because who tells you? Some of them are born without even the uterus. So what we are talking about is that it could be you. Today you're talking about this couple. Tomorrow it could be you with your son. It could be you with your auntie. It could be you with your uncle. You never know. So how you treat this person is the same way. Is it the same way you'd want to be treated then? So I want us to be in a situation where we embrace this couple or we embrace these children. And as a mother-in-law, if you think your son, maybe your daughter-in-law is the problem, maybe it is your son. So look at both sides. And most of the time when the couples are struggling with infertility, they tend to hide who is affected by infertility. So you find that you'll be talking about the lady is the one who has a problem, but actually it is your son. So you find that you'll be talking about the son is the one who has a problem, but it is the woman. So put yourself in the situation whereby you say if it was my son or it was my daughter, so that you can find a solution for all of you.
Okay. We have 1 minute to go. We have to talk about the most important thing that I promised we would talk about, and that's reproductive health education. They say prevention is better than cure. Do you think reproductive health education is important in terms of combating and having early detection and treatment for this particular condition?
Thank you very much. I believe reproductive health is the most important part in our life as women and men, because if we can be able to hijack reproductive health at our earlier age, we'll be able to cure infertility in the future. The reason why I'm saying this is because infertility is caused of blockage of tube, and blockage of tube is through infection. Maybe you had early sex, or maybe you've had an untreated condition that you've had. So if we could be able to go to these schools. We are starting a program where we go to the schools and we talk to them about reproductive health. Reproductive health is about now how you take care of yourself in reproductive health, your family planning, how do you take your family planning, because we've seen a lot of students and a lot of young girls and a lot of young boys, they are using blue pill for boys. For girls, they are using the P2, which might affect, because the P2 freezes the eggs. So you find that there are people who are getting early pregnancies, there are people who are doing abortions. So what we are trying to do is we want to bring the guidance to them. They talk to them so that they understand. What we are lacking when our girls are growing is that nurturing of reproductive health, because parents are failing us and the teachers are also failing us. They are not able to talk to these students about their reproductive health. So we want to get into that gap and teach them about what they need to do when it comes to their reproductive health. And I believe if we are able to do that, if it is about family planning, they don't use the P2, but maybe they get the right medication for the right family planning. They either get the injection, they get whatever it is for them to be safer, depending on their body and depending on their hormones. So that is what we are seeing will end will reduce infertility in the future.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming through tonight and educating us. 20 or maybe 10 seconds. Give us your number there for someone who will not be able to get to your site.
Okay, thank you very much. Our social media is Fertility Kenya, F capital, Kenya capital, and also that is our Facebook page. We also have our website, www.fertilitykenya. Also, we are situated at Embassy House, 3rd floor, room 319, and my number, or our number is 0722-774371. My number is 0722-774371.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you so much for giving us the wonderful insights. Thank you for the passion that you have for the community and for the longevity of the community, which depends on our fertility. Thank you so much for coming through.
Asante.
All right, there you have it. Cecilia Karanja, founder Fertility Kenya, very passionate about fertility, and reach out if you have a problem and embrace those who have a problem in our society.